just 2 days ago. So we're going to do things a little different today.
The time has actually flown by, and we do appreciate
the money that we could have saved.
Just plain wrong. We used to
upload and download.
One of the other things we've learned with our busy lifestyle is
don't use that. If you're not retired and you still work full time, never failed every single trip.
Penny was our first.
Not a jeans guy, but it's cold. Would you believe it was 88 degrees just 2 days ago? 54 today. Feels like 47. Yay! So today, we're going to take you along with us, and we're going to talk about our 2-year RV anniversary, anniversary. And we're going to do that just as soon as somebody...
Almost ready.
So we're going to do things a little different today. Instead of sitting on the couch or standing in front of the refrigerator, we're going to take you along everything we do today. And we're going to discuss a few of the lessons learned along the way.
I think I'm ready.
You are changing your shoes, right, honey?
Maybe.
Yeah.
So it's been 2 years since we sold our house. Went full-time living and working in our RV while we traveled the U.S.
Without killing each other.
Yet. But I think the time has actually flown by.
Yes, it's went really fast. Sometimes it seems really slow. I think the first thing on our list of lessons learned, the first thing is what we used to always hear is, go big. You'll regret it if you don't go big. Not true. For starters, the one thing that we've learned, we weren't sure, especially Michelle, if we could downsize so far and live out of an RV. But that's been really easy for us.
Yeah, it was actually easier than I thought.
But another thing is, bigger isn't always better. You have a lot more expenses, a lot more to worry about. One of the biggest things with this lifestyle is you want to be stress-free as much as possible.
Yeah.
That'll never happen in any situation, but you want to try to lessen that stress as much as possible.
Right.
Therefore, don't do a YouTube channel because it's very stressful. A Class A motorhome, so many different components underneath on the chassis and everything that you just never thought of. At least we didn't. I mean, we did our research and we're still finding things that, oh, did you do this? Have you done this yet? Have you done that yet? What? It's got that? It's what? So that being said, there's a lot of expenses with it. You do want to be comfortable, but we've learned that we got to try to find a happy medium somewhere. If you get a fifth wheel, you gotta look at how heavy that fifth wheel is. You need a 1/2 ton, you need a 3/4 ton, you need a 1 ton. The bigger the unit, the heavier the unit, the more expensive truck you need. The nice thing about these trucks, though, they do hold their value, these diesel trucks. They hold their value very well. Going big is not the answer. It's just basically finding out what's going to fit your needs the best. And guess what? You'll never find that out until you just pick something, get out there, live the lifestyle, and then you start realizing all these different things that you just can't explain.
Right.
We can't explain that for you. We can't tell you what's best for you. Heck, we don't even know what's best for us half the time. Although there are people out there that think they know what's best for us, but that's just because that's what's worked well for them.
Mm-hmm. And we do appreciate everybody's input.
Yeah, very much so. Even though it may not help us, it might help somebody else.
That's right. So in a sense, you're saying size does matter, honey.
Of course it does.
Another lesson we learned that we wish we would have done it right from the start was to get the TSD fuel card.
Oh gosh, yes.
To save on our diesel fuel.
Yes. We went a whole year before, it was just about a whole year before we found out about the TSD card. Heard about it, we were a little skeptical, especially some of the information they need from you. Then we realized, well, the truckers use it, so it is safe. Found other people that were using it, saving a lot of money. So it was just a little over a year by the time we ended up getting it.
Yeah.
And ever since, we saved so much. And all we can think about is that big long trip we did up California.
Right.
And all the fuel we spent in California, the money that we could have saved through Oregon, Washington, from Washington all the way back to visit family in Iowa.
Right.
We saved sometimes it varies a lot. Sometimes you might just save like $6 or something. But the majority of the time we're saving 20, 30, 40, 60. I'd say our average savings has been around the $40 range.
Right.
Of what we're saving per fill up. And we're typically not running our gas down to empty. We only did that one time.
Right. Don't like to do that.
Yeah, so yes, that was a big lesson learned, and it did cost us because we didn't hear about it.
Right.
But shall we go eat?
Yes, I'm hungry.
It's chilly, but out here in the sun, it actually doesn't feel too bad.
Very windy, though.
Next on the list we're going to talk about is the GPS apps and what you use for your GPS. We used to use Copilot, and that was
just plain wrong.
Just plain wrong.
Just plain wrong.
It wasn't very reliable. One time in particular, it took us down a road that we should not have been on, and we didn't know that until we got a little too far, and then there was nowhere to turn around. Ended up at a dead end at a farmer's house. After that time, we used it along with another app just to test it, and multiple times it tried to take us down the wrong road. So we quit using that one. Now we use the RV Life app, and that goes along hand in hand with RV Trip Wizard. So RV Trip Wizard is your planning tool, and you use that on your laptop computer, and then you download the RV Life app, and that's where all of your trips from RV Trip Wizard transfer over to RV Life. They'll be there automatically when you log in, and then you can just click on your planned trips. You can put all your measurements in just like any other GPS app, and then if you want to use it just for a plain GPS, you can also just put in an address as well. But yeah, we quit using Copilot. That was not a fun time. We had to disconnect the dolly, take the car off. Of course, we took the car off first before we disconnected the dolly. That would have been bad. So that was a lesson learned.
One thing I love is because Brian has to eat gluten-free, then I get his muffin.
What?
This actually reminded me of another thing, and that is you will not need to bring as many items as you think you do. You won't need as many clothes, you won't need as many shoes, you won't need as many kitchen items. I don't know how many mugs we brought with us, coffee mugs, and we don't even need that. We use 2. But, so anyways, just think minimalistic.
That was good.
I am full.
So what's next on the list?
How about finding campgrounds with good cell service?
Yes, that's a big one. A lot of times when you do your campground reviews, a lot of these websites that you will find have reviews from most of them come from other campers. They're putting the reviews on there of one specific site that they're in the campground. A lot of times you wouldn't think that it matters what site you're in, but it does. So a lot of times what you're going to see is AT&T 3 bars, Verizon 2 bars, and that's all it's going to show on there. That gives you an idea that there's service in the area. But a lot of times what we have found out and what we've learned, that really doesn't mean anything, because we can literally move from one site to another just a couple sites down.
It's crazy.
And all of a sudden we have a really good speed. So what we recommend is if you go to a campgrounds that you can choose your site, drive around the campground a little bit and stop and do a speed test at every site that you go to when you stop by. And if you find a good cell signal somewhere, and if you have a good speed, don't risk it. Don't try to go to another site, because once you get back around to that spot again, somebody might have that spot already taken. If you're going to a campgrounds where they assign a site to you, you can ask the ranger if they know of an area of the campground that has better cell reception. Michelle has a lot of Zoom meetings, so it's very important for her to have that good upload and download speed. For me, of course, I need it for mainly uploading videos to YouTube. The editing part, I really don't need it. Just the research, I need it. Before, we used to get to a site and we'd get all set up and everything, and then realize that we had poor cell service because we were listening to these reviews thinking, in the beginning that no matter where we go, that campground's got good cell service. Well, not the case.
One of the other things we've learned with our busy lifestyle is how hard it is to keep up with the maintenance on the RV.
Oh, yes. Yes, especially with her working full-time, I'm working full-time, and then the channel in the evenings, she tries to help a lot of times with keeping up with some of the, the comments and that. We find ourselves basically constantly working. Weekends come, that's our time to enjoy ourselves, but we're also working at the same time because we're trying to plan shots, and we really try to just go along with the flow and just ad-lib everything.
Right.
We really don't do a lot of planning, I guess. We really do ad-lib it, and it shows. But so with that being said, a lot of maintenance is hard to keep up with. Of course, that's really on me to try to keep up with that. And so the lesson learned is really need to try to remember to write down things that need to be done. Otherwise, if you try keeping it in your mind, you just get overwhelmed and you forget things. At least I do. We do. So make a list of everything that you need to do if you're not retired and you still work full-time. And even if you don't, I recommend doing that. And then when you do get free time, just try to, take off one of those items if you can. Some items take a little bit more time than others, and you might not have time, so just move on down the list to something that you can knock off that list quickly if you have an hour or whatever. So, yeah, that was a big one.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to go inside Walmart here and show you what our next lesson learned is. Another big lesson learned, and this is a big one. The TP you use for your TP for my bunghole. Don't use that. We've tried everything. Best place to get it, come to your local Walmart and go to your RV section and look for this. Can't get any better. For my bunghole. Oh, lessons learned. The dolly.
Oh, the dreaded dolly.
We're not saying don't get a dolly, because for some people the dolly's the right thing to have.
Or their only option.
But for us, it kind of became kind of a pain. The straps, as soon as you tighten them down, you always had to drive a little bit, stop the coach and get out and tighten them up. Never failed, every single trip. I had to lay something down on the ground, get underneath and put the safety chains underneath the car. I always feared if my back went out, because I've had, knock on wood, I haven't had my back go out for a long time, but I used to a lot, had a lot of back problems. I always worried that was going to be an issue if Michelle had to do that. And then the dolly is something that if you ever get in a situation, you have to disconnect the car. It involves getting underneath the car, taking the chains off, all that stuff, pulling the car off, then disconnecting the dolly and pushing it aside. Whereas if you tow four down, just disconnect real easily and move the vehicle. And it's cumbersome. You always have to find a place to put it. Even though our dolly was the Car Caddy SS and it would fold up, it made it easy. Some people just slide the tongue of their dolly, if they're not foldable, right underneath their coach. So was it really helpful having it being a folding one? Maybe, maybe not. If we were to do it all over again, we definitely would not get a dolly, but as you probably know, we've talked about this before, we were in a situation where we just bought the car, and we didn't know when we bought the car that we were going to go full-time in an RV until just a few months later. And everything went so quick, and we didn't want to lose money on the car since we just bought it brand new. So we went with the dolly. But that was a lesson learned. If we ever go with a Class A again, or anything pulling a car, we would definitely tow four down. Find something that we could tow four down.
Right.
We are almost home, so we'll catch you there. We're home.
Lots of running around.
So, yeah, 2 years full time now, and guess what? We do have somebody interested in Vinny. So we're keeping our fingers crossed everything goes through. We're kind of sad about it too.
Yes.
We're a little attached to Vinny, but
Vinny was our first.
I know there's a lot of lessons that we learned. This isn't even half of them, but we had to decide on a few to choose, and that's what we chose. We hope you liked today's video, and hope some of our lessons learned helps you. We're going to call it a day. We'll see you guys next week.
Let's call it a day.
Don't forget to subscribe to our channel
click that little bell and hit that thumbs up. See you next week.